Good morning, guys. My name is Jason. I am the founder of Distress Loan Advisors. If you want to book time with me, you can go to jasontees.com or there is a link in the notes below. Before we start, I had a call the other day with a lovely couple, and the woman said to me, Jason, you're so serious on your videos, but you're actually very friendly. And I said, you know what? Next video that I make, I'm going to give you a little wink and a nod and a smile. So there you go. I generally am a pretty affable guy, but there's only so much humor you can make out of SBA loan defaults. Anyway, here we go. I'm smiling. Today we are covering the major features of the Complete COVID Collections Act that is currently being proposed. So it's not been signed into law yet, as far as I know, but this is the draft that I was able to get online. And the bottom line from what I see is the bad news is there's no discussion of any sort of forgiveness or offering compromise. The good news is I don't see anything in here that jumps out at me anyway, as far as punitive actions that they're going to take against the vast majority of borrowers out there. So that's just my general takeaway, but I'll go through the individual highlights as I see them. So first and foremost, they just want to make sure that there are mandatory loan collections. So they are proposing that they prohibit the suspension of collections. Hold on one second. My dog's at the door. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. By the way, this particular dog won $450 in a Super Bowl pool last night. So good for her. All right. Anyway, so they're prohibiting the suspension of collections of COVID-19 related small business loans, EIDL obviously. And so all they're really saying is we don't want any agency to stop collecting, and so we're going to make sure that is, it's a law. You have to collect, which is, I don't think that really changes anything because they're already trying to collect. It goes back to that $100,000 thing, requires the SBA to refer all delinquent loans under $100,000 to the Department of Treasury for collection. That's old news. If anyone remembers, I did a video on Joni Ernst, who got up on her soapbox and said, we need to do more. Why are we not collecting? And, at the time, my view on that is loans $100,000 or less are highly unlikely to be collectible anyway, especially the ones that were through some sort of legal entity. Without a personal guarantee, how many mom and pop stores that were so small that they only borrowed $100,000 or less are going to have anything for the Treasury to collect? I would argue it's nominal. This is more grandstanding than anything. Beyond that, the Treasury Department has final authority to suspend and or continue collections. So I guess it's like, hey, if you get this stuff in and it's not worth your time, just end it or suspend it. You have the authority to do that, which again, that makes sense. I don't see a problem with that, unless they're wasting taxpayer money pursuing things that they're never going to get a recovery on. But other than that, they have the right to suspend or end activity as well. Maybe they'll make a common sense decision. You never know. Next, the next section is about fraud enforcement and investigations. So they extended the Special Inspector General for Pandemic Recovery to 2030, and specifically to oversee investigations into pandemic loan fraud. So again, it shouldn't impact most of you. Most of you did not commit some sort of fraud. They're essentially just saying it's probably because there's so many of them. Why not give themselves the time to continue to investigate these for as long as it takes, rather than having some arbitrarily end where maybe they leave some meat on the bone as far as looking into fraud. Also mandates cooperation between the SBA and the Inspector General. I mean, I think that happens already. Maybe there was some squabbling interagency-wise, and this just says SBA, you are required to comply. Beyond that, they want to set a 10-year statute of limitations for prosecuting fraud. That kind of goes back to this Special Inspector General. And it actually applies to a whole bunch of COVID relief programs. So PPP, EIDL, Restaurant Revitalization Fund, shuttered venue operator grants. So basically all the money they gave out during COVID, there's a 10-year statute of limitations. And again, as long as they're not abusing that, I don't see why that's really a huge problem. Next, transparency and reporting. This is just trying to hold them accountable. Monthly briefings. SBA administrator has to provide updates to Congress on their collection efforts and transfer of claims to Treasury. Annual testimony, where they have to talk about loan collections and improper payments, and SBA compliance with the reporting requirements. Again, that's not really that big a deal. The Attorney General reports. The Department of Justice must support monthly reports detailing the number of fraud prosecutions. Again, this is just our elected officials saying, hey, we just want to be kept in the loop on this stuff. In the loop on this stuff. The Pandemic Response Accountability Committee, it's a mouthful, must maintain a public website showing real-time data on recovered funds from COVID relief programs broken down by type and amount. Now, I wonder when they say recovered funds, if they're talking about through litigation or just, regular amortization of loans. Either way, I mean, publicly available data is never a bad thing. And then the last major section is increased scrutiny on SBA programs. So it requires the SBA to justify improper payments and its efforts to recover misallocated funds. So I guess if they're saying they approved somebody by accident who shouldn't have qualified, they should make more efforts to get that money back. And it expands law enforcement tools to recover fraudulently obtained COVID loans. Again, hey, if you committed fraud, you might go to jail. And I see those news stories every day. There's nothing new about that. That's currently going on all over the country. I have a news feed where whenever EIDL is in the news, I get the article sent to me. And I would say 3-4 times a week, I'm reading articles about, so-and-so lied about the size of their business. They stole someone else's tax ID. They applied for, multiple loans when they weren't eligible. They bought a sports car, stuff like that. That's not a problem. So that's it. I mean, that's really the crux of it. Like I said at the outset here, of course, we would have liked to seen something about forgiveness, offering compromise, or some plan for how are we going to handle all these delinquent loans. We know you want to collect on them, but what about the people who didn't commit fraud and simply just need some other alternative? That's not in here. Maybe it'll be sometime in the future. But for now, that is a summary of the major features of the Complete COVID Collections Act that has not been signed into law. This is what's being proposed. But I did say in my video, I think on Friday, that I would come back as soon as the bill text was available. So here I am. That's it. Thanks for checking in. As always, if you want to schedule time with me, there is a link below. I will also link to, if I can find it again, to the actual bill if anyone wants to see it. That's it. We'll see you on the next one.